Hey friends, what a joy to be with you. Every single week it's a joy to be able to be with you. And a shared responsibility, right? Because, we believe that when the people are together and the book is open and the Spirit is working, then the truth is revealed, not just through one person, the teacher, but through each one of us as students. We have one teacher. All the rest of us are the learners. Blessed be the name of the teacher, right? I love these lessons right now because they're all built around the concept of inspiration. And today the lesson is entitled Inspired to Pray. There are people of prayer. We talk about prayer warriors, or people committed to prayer. Our old Brother Paul says, pray without ceasing, and we wonder how in the world anybody might do that. Could you do it if it were a relationship rather than a formal, dear God? Maybe pray without ceasing means to be living in a relationship to God that's prayerful. What do you think? Anyway, we look at Luke again, chapter 11, verses 5 and following. And he tells this story. Suppose one of you has a friend and goes to him at midnight and says, "Friend, lend me 3 loaves of bread, because a friend of mine on a journey has come to me and I have nothing to set before him." The story is a little long, but you know what it's about. The other fellow is already comfy, cozy, and sort of taking care of family, and he doesn't want to be bothered. But it's curious because what the Lord says in this particular passage is that the boldness of the person seeking the good of others is ultimately rewarded. Now, isn't that interesting? One of the things about the New Testament that fascinates a lot of people who have not been real familiar with it is the place of proper aggressiveness, proper boldness. This fellow goes to a friend and is pretty insistent. The lady goes to a judge. The judge actually says, "Hey, I'm not the religious type, But her persistence, her aggressive behavior for what she believes to be right and good is ultimately rewarded. Now, when we translate that into this lesson for today, Inspired to Pray, that certainly does not boil down to the fact that if you tell God what you want, God had better do it. J.B. Phillips, in a very interesting little book, says that God is not a cosmic bellboy. The book is entitled, Your God is Too Small. He said God is not a divine policeman. God is with and for us, but God does that in God's own way, and that's true. This is the passage in chapter 11 and verse 9. So I say to you, ask and it will be given to you, seek and you will find, knock and it will be open to you. It's kind of an outline for prayer, isn't it? Ask what's on your heart. It's perfectly okay to share whatever it might be. But then it says that you need to become a little bit more active, moving from an inward asking to a active seeking. So many times people say, I prayed and God didn't answer. And the response might be, what did you do about the prayer? Nothing. Well, you see, God's waiting for you to respond. And then it says, knock and the door will be open to you. That means become a little bit more committed and a little bit more continuing in what the life of prayer is all about. I think sometimes we have not because we ask not. And very often, and men and women of prayer are going to have different understandings of this. We have not because we ask not, and we say, hey, I want a Chevrolet, a 2-door hardtop with a V8. That's what I wanted when I went to college at Millsaps. What I ended up with was a 4-door black, 3-speed, 6-cylinder Ford. It was a great car. But I asked for one thing and got the other. The curious thing is that whether it's a material thing or a spiritual inspiration or the strength to live the days of your life, however you pray, remember that when you pray, to be active and involved, and God will answer. But God will answer in God's own way. Perhaps the answer would be yes. Perhaps the answer would be no. Perhaps the answer is later, and perhaps the answer is, hey, you got to be kidding. Pray. Be inspired to pray, because it will inspire all of your living. That's a promise, and God will keep it. Bless your hearts, dear friends. Grace and peace.